Okay, we are streaming live on YouTube right now.
Excellent. Mr. Clerk, are you ready to go?
I am ready to go, Mr. President.
All right, here we go. The Waltham City Council will come to order remotely on Monday evening, February 8th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. The meeting can be followed by the public on the City of Waltham YouTube channel. It can also be followed on the Waltham Community Access Corporation MAC channel for Verizon subscribers. The meeting can be followed on channel 43 for Comcast subscribers. The meeting can be followed on channel 898 RCN subscribers on channel 15. Clerk, call the roll.
George A. Darcy III.
Present.
Karen Dunn.
Present.
Sean T. Durkee.
Present.
Kathy Ann Harris.
Present.
Joseph P. LaCava.
Present.
Anthony LaFosse.
Present.
Randall J. LeBlanc.
Present.
Christine A. Mackin.
Present.
John J. McLaughlin.
Present.
Kathleen B. McMenamin.
Present.
Patrick J. O'Brien.
Present.
Jonathan Paz.
Present.
Thomas M. Stanley.
Present.
Carlos A. Vidal.
Present.
President Paul J. Brasco.
Present.
All 15 councilors present.
All members of the
Mr.
City
President.
Council just called by the clerk and answering present are participating in this meeting remotely. All rise while the City Clerk recites the council prayer.
Almighty God, we ask thy guidance in all our deliberations. Please remain standing while the City Council President leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic,
To the republic
which it stands,
which it
one
stands,
nation,
one
under
nation,
God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty,
with
and
liberty,
justice for all.
for all.
Please remain standing. Councilor McLaughlin.
Thank you, President Brasco. Before each meeting of the Waltham City Council, we offer a moment of silence to both active duty troops in the United States Armed Forces and to those that have served and have given the ultimate sacrifice, their lives for our freedom. Tonight, I want to especially remember a Waltham resident who 68 years ago today was killed in action on a desolate hill in what is now Churwon, North Korea. Private First Class John J. McLaughlin Jr. lived on Windsor Terrace in Warrendale. Jackie McLaughlin was a son to my grandmother, a brother to my dad, and an uncle to me and over 50 nieces, nephews, grandnieces, grandnephews, none of whom ever got to know him. Jackie served as a member of I Company, 9th Infantry Regiment of the 2nd Infantry Division. So I ask for a moment of silence tonight for all of those troops serving at home and abroad, and for all those that have given the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom, especially PFC Jackie McLaughlin.
Moment of silence, please. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Councilor McLaughlin, for your family's sacrifice. Non-procedural votes of the Waltham City Council in this meeting's remote meeting will be taken by call of the roll. Wish of the committee with regards to the approval of the minutes of January 25th, 2021.
Move approval.
Councilor McLaughlin makes a motion for approval. On the motion for approval, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed
Aye.
or object? There being none. First public hearing, Councilor McLaughlin moves to waive the reading of Rule 86. On the motion to waive the reading of Rule 86, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed or object? The first public hearing is a special permit. On that motion, Councilor Blank.
Thank you, Mr. President. I must recuse myself as a proximity to my work. Thank you very much.
Let the record reflect that Councilor Randy LeBlanc recuses himself with regards to the public hearing special permit. Will the clerk read the call of the meeting?
Public hearing, special permit Damon Schmidt of Waltham Cannabis Inc., 130 South Royalston Road, Royalston, Massachusetts, 01368, and Michael Polacco, trustee, Full House Realty Trust, 100 Felton Street, Suite 201, Waltham, Massachusetts, 02453, collectively as petitioners, hereby petition the City Council for a special permit pursuant to Section 3.5 in Article 12, Section 12.1 to 12.13 of the zoning ordinance to operate a marijuana establishment or marijuana retailer as defined by Section 12.21 of the zoning ordinance. The locus is known and numbered as 1254-1256 Main Street and is shown in the Atlas, City of Waltham, Massachusetts, 1988 as map 57, block 9, lot 1. The property is situated in a commercial zoning district. The legal owner of the locus is Michael Polacco, trustee of Full House Realty Trust, 100 Felton Street, Suite 201, Waltham, Massachusetts, 02453.
We have a communication from a petitioner. If the clerk would read the communication.
Good evening, President Brasco and members of the Waltham.
Honors, Mr. Waddick, the clerk will read the communication from the
This
petitioner.
communication is dated February 4th, 2021, from Attorney Joseph M. Connors. Dear President Brasco, please be advised that I represent the petitioners in the above entitled request to the City Council for a special permit at 1254-1256 Main Street pursuant to Sections 3.5 and 12.4. As you know, a public hearing is scheduled for February 8th, 2021. Please consider this letter a request to the council to continue the public hearing to March 22nd, 2021, or a date convenient to the City Council. The reason for this request is that in order to proceed with the special permit request, certain zoning relief is required from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Also, as you know, it is the policy of the council that all variances and/or zoning relief must be acquired prior to the City Council hearing. On January 26, 2021, the petitioner's zoning application was before the Zoning Board of Appeals. Unfortunately, we were unable to present to the board as 5 members of the board were not present. As a result, we requested a continuance of the Zoning Board hearing to February 23rd, 2021. I thank you for your attention to this matter. Waltham Cannabis Inc. and Michael Polacco, trustee, by its attorney, Joseph M. Connors, Jr.
Council McLaughlin.
I'd move that we recess this matter until March 22nd, Mr. President.
Council McLaughlin moves to recess this special permit public hearing and continue the public hearing on this matter on March 22nd, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. A vote will be taken by a call of the roll.
George A. Darcy III,
Yes.
Karen Dunn,
Yes.
Sean T. Durkee,
Yes.
Kathy Ann Harris,
Yes.
Joseph P. LaCava,
Yes.
Anthony LaFosse,
Yes.
Randall J. LeBlanc is recused, Christine A. Mackin,
Yes.
John J. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Kathleen B. McMenamin,
Yes.
Patrick J. O'Brien,
Yes.
Jonathan Paz, Thomas M. Stanley,
Yes.
Carlos A. Vidal,
Yes.
13 in favor, none opposed.
By your action, you have approved of the recess of the special permit hearing until March 22nd, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. Clerk will continue with communications from the mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Connors.
Mayor respectfully requests approval of numerous gifts from Karen O'Brien, 50 Brightwood Road, Waltham, for the City Hall Museum Room.
For the Finance Committee.
Mayor respectfully submits a draft of the purchase and sale for the property located at 102 Tremont Avenue.
For the Committee of the Whole.
The mayor respectfully requests acceptance of 5 pewter ornaments of various Waltham fire stations from Kathleen B. McMenamin, 147 Trapelo Road, Waltham, for the City Hall Museum Room.
For the Finance Committee.
The mayor respectfully requests, without committee reference, the council's position regarding a real estate matter.
Wish of the committee with regards to without committee reference.
So moved.
Is it, Councilor Durkee, is that you wish the mayor to proceed in the affirmative?
It's Council McLaughlin.
Oh, Council McLaughlin, I'm sorry.
Nope, that's, that would be, yes.
The motion is by Council McLaughlin to allow the mayor to proceed in the affirmative. On the motion, Vote be taken by call or roll.
George A. Darcy III,
Yes.
Karen Dunn,
Yes.
Sean T. Durkee,
Yes.
Kathy Ann Harris,
Yes.
Joseph P. LaCava,
Yes.
Anthony LaFauci,
Yes.
Randall J. LeBlanc,
Yes.
Christine A. Mackin,
Yes.
John J. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Kathleen B. McMenamin,
Yes.
Patrick J. O'Brien,
Yes.
Jonathan Paz,
Yes.
Thomas M. Stanley,
Yes.
Carlos A. Vidal,
Yes.
14 in favor, none opposed.
Clerk, continue with number 5.
Mayor respectfully requests an appropriation in the amount of $25,900 to fund the development of a calibrated water distribution system hydraulic model to provide the city with an evaluation of the water distribution system.
Refer to the Finance Committee.
The mayor respectfully requests an appropriation in the amount of $20,000 to fund the 2-year subscription for a software application to assess the water distribution system.
Refer to the Finance Committee.
Applications and licenses.
Refer to the License and Franchise Committee.
Orders, ordinances, and resolutions. We have no resolutions, Mr. President.
Clerk will continue with committee reports.
Committee reports. Licenses and franchises. The Licenses and Franchises Committee recommends the approval of the lodging house license renewal at 107 Adams Street for Dennis Dyer.
Council Vidal moves the action committee to the action council. Roll call.
George A. Darcy III,
Yes.
Karen Dunn,
Yes.
Sean T. Durkee,
Yes.
Kathy Ann Harris,
Yes.
Joseph P. LaCava,
Yes.
Anthony LaFauci,
Yes.
Randall J. LeBlanc,
Yes.
Christine A. Mackin,
Yes.
John J. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Kathleen B. McMenamin,
Yes.
Patrick J. O'Brien,
Yes.
Jonathan Paz,
Yes.
Thomas M. Stanley,
Yes.
Carlos I. Vidal,
Yes.
14 in favor, none opposed.
By your actions, approve to the matter. Continue with number 2.
The Licenses and Franchises Committee recommends approval of the lodging house renewal for Dennis Dyer at 403 River Street.
Council Vidal moves the action committee to the action council. Roll calls report.
George A. Darcy III,
Yes.
Karen Dunn,
Yes.
Sean T. Durkee,
Yes.
Kathy Ann Harris,
Yes.
Joseph P. LaCava,
Yes.
Anthony LaFauci,
Yes.
Randall J. LeBlanc,
Yes.
Christine A. Mackin,
Yes.
John J. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Kathleen B. McMenamin,
Yes.
Patrick J. O'Brien,
Yes.
Jonathan Paz,
Yes.
Thomas M. Stanley,
Yes.
Carlos A. Vidal,
Yes.
14 in favor, none
By
opposed.
your actions, approve to the matter. Clerk, continue with public works, public safety.
Public Works and Public Safety Committee recommends the 17-80 for Silver Hill Lane be approved.
Council Blank moves the action committee to the action of the council. Roll call.
George A. Darcy III,
Yes.
Karen Dunn,
Yes.
Sean T. Durkee,
Yes.
Kathy Ann Harris,
Yes.
Joseph P. LaCava,
Yes.
Anthony LaFauci,
Yes.
Randall J. LeBlanc,
Yes.
Christine A. Mackin,
Yes.
John J. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Kathleen B. McMenamin,
Yes.
Patrick J. O'Brien,
Yes.
Jonathan Paz,
Yes.
Thomas M. Stanley,
Yes.
Carlos A. Vidal,
Yes.
14 in favor, none opposed.
By your action, approve to the matter. Clerk, continue with number 2.
Public Works and Public Safety Committee recommends the Good Neighbor Resolution be filed.
Council Blank moves the action committee to the action of council. Roll call.
George A. Darcy III,
Yes.
Karen Dunn,
Yes.
Sean T. Durkee,
Yes.
Kathy Ann Harris,
Yes.
Joseph P. LaCava, Anthony LaFauci,
Yes.
Randall J. LeBlanc,
Yes.
Christine A. Mackin,
Yes.
John J. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Kathleen B. McMenamin,
Yes.
Patrick J. O'Brien,
Yes.
Jonathan Paz,
Yes.
Thomas M. Stanley,
Yes.
Carlos A. Vidal,
Yes.
14 in favor, none opposed.
By your action, will approve to the matter. Clerk, continue with committee of the whole.
Committee of the Whole recommends the MBTA bus stops resolution be filed.
Vice President McMenamin moves the action committee to the action of the council. Roll call.
George A. Darcy III,
Yes.
Karen Dunn,
Yes.
Sean T. Durkee,
Yes.
Kathy Ann Harris,
Yes.
Joseph P. LaCava,
Yes.
Anthony LaFosse,
Yes.
Randall J. LeBlanc,
Yes.
Christine A. Mackin,
Yes.
John J. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Kathleen B. McMenamin,
Yes.
Patrick J. O'Brien,
Yes.
Jonathan Paz,
Yes.
Thomas M. Stanley,
Yes.
Carlos A. Vidal,
Yes.
14 in favor, none opposed.
By your action, you have approved of the finding. Clerk, continue number 2.
Committee of the Whole recommends the letter to the CPC for revision and/or review for affordable housing at the Armory be approved.
Vice President McMenamin moves the action committee with the action of the council. Council Mackin, you're first on the list.
Thank you. So, after the discussion last week, when the city council was somewhat confused as to what the legal mechanisms were regarding this decision, I think it's actually a really important question what the disposition actions are available to the city council. There's no provision in either the city charter or the state law to send a matter back to the Community Preservation Committee once they've made a recommendation to this body. And then additionally, this matter was initially pulled out of the Long-Term Debt Committee and sent to the Committee of the Whole in order to avoid duplicating conversations that were being had when the action was recommended to the full body of the council. So with those two things in mind, I would actually like to substitute the idea that we have a joint meeting with the Community Preservation Committee and that we additionally invite the mayor, the city's legal counsel, and extend an invitation to the proponents of the proposal so that we have everybody together in one room. We can get the legal questions answered. We can see what the CPC wants to do to amend the application, and that we don't have to go back and forth indefinitely between these different bodies. So I would like to make a motion to invite the Community Preservation Committee, the mayor, the legal department, representatives of the petition to have a joint meeting. That is the sense of the motion. And I would like a roll call on that when we get to the appropriate time. Thank you.
You've all heard the sense of the motion. On the motion,
Mr. President,
Councilor Paz.
thank you. I commend the councilor from Ward 7 for the motion. I think it's just important that we put everything on the table. There were a lot of questions left that remained from our last meeting. I would like to additionally request for the law department to actually review those 2 key questions we left our last meeting, which is, given this current pending matter, what are our courses of action regarding the purchase and sale agreement? That's number 1. And then number 2, what are our courses of action given the mayor's concern about the as is by right appraisal? And, you know, quite frankly, the law department did not have very straightforward answers to those questions. And I would just like to add those 2 requests in addition to the motion.
So you're making a request on a motion that hasn't passed yet. So
Right.
we have to Councilor Paz, we have to take a vote on the Ward 7 Councilor Mackin's motion before making requests. So we know whether this is going to be rescinded and reviewed again by the CPC committee, or if it will remain on the table here at the city council. So on the motion by
Mr. Council President.
Mr. President, this is Councilor at-large Vidal.
Councilor Mackin, Councilor Vidal, first time around.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The concerns of the Ward 7 council has raised regarding the validity of what this body did last week is definitely a concern to me. Now, when this was proposed last week, we had an opportunity to send this back to CPC because this is the way it was. I was asking if this is possible to do that, and it was okayed, and I didn't think there was any sort of concerns at that point. Now, since there are concerns from the Ward 7 councilor, then I guess before we have any sort of meetings with people, I would like to hear from our law department whether or not the motion that we made last week it's accurate and is valid. If they come in front of us and say that it is, then great. then we're moving forward with a vote on sending this back to CPC. But if they say that it isn't, then in that case, we'll have to find a venue to get this resolved. And if at the end of the day, we end up meeting with everyone, CPC, attorneys, mayor, petitioner, and whoever, and us, then yeah, let it be. But I think, if we are having, if Ward 7 Council has a concern, then I guess our legal team, the one that works with us, should be the ones having an opinion on this before, if there's a concern here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Vidal. On Councilor Mackin's motion. First time around, Vice President McMahon.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I believe that Councilor Mackin's motion should be ruled out of order. Number one. Number two, the matter before us that was debated and discussed last week was improperly before us. It was sent to us, I think, Councilor Durkee directly presented the logical argument that I'm sure he could present again, but I listened very carefully as it was presented. The CPC did not do its due diligence. If you have read the documents and the chronology of the documents that were sent to us, the mayor informed the CPC back in November that an as of right appraisal would be needed. The CPC disregarded that communication and forwarded, forwarded a recommendation of approval without that document. The matter of the armory was sent to us improperly. It is improperly before us. I believe that Councilor Mackin's motion is out of order, and I certainly will not support it.
Vice President McMahon, thank you. I do concur, but further speakers on Councilor Mackin's motion. Councilor, you're next on the list.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't know why the law department was there last week, because they really didn't give us any good legal advice at all. I asked a couple of simple questions that anyone that was serving in the city solicitor's office for a few decades should be able to answer. And that was regarding override votes, and they weren't answered. The one piece of legal advice that I believe I did hear was that there was no provision to send it back to committee, to CPC committee, and doing so is essentially just killing it. So I'd like to know, through you, Mr. President, to the clerk, are there any provisions in our council rules or the city charter to send a matter back to the Community Preservation Committee?
I'm not aware of any, Mr. President.
And you were a city solicitor for the city of Newton for a number of years, and have a lot of experience in these matters. So
I'm not aware of any provision in the rules. The question is can a matter be referred back to the CPC from the city council? I don't have an answer to that question without taking a look at it. That's a question that I haven't actually researched before, but I don't recall seeing anything in the council rules with respect to that. That's what I wanted to say.
Right. Well, I just think, the whole way this is going about it's really embarrassing. The city council is being led by our nose, collective nose, and being told what to do with matters before this legislative body by someone who's not on in the legislative body, and everyone's just following along. So I agree with the councilor from Ward 7 on this matter, and I hope her motion is approved.
Thank you, Councilor Stanley. First time around, Councilor LaFosse.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm hearing everything that everybody is saying regarding the Armory. There's an old expression, big groups move slow. My feel is if we get CPC, the mayor, representatives, 15 members of the council on Zoom, first and foremost, I think that's a recipe for disaster. If we were to have such a collection of people, I would prefer it to be in person, face to face, so that we don't have people experiencing outages on their internet or their phones and dropping off at particular points in time. Also, if it's as clear cut and clean as I believe it is, I don't have the fear of sending it back to CPC. Let them clean up the concerns, the issues, if it is that straightforward, and send it back to us. So I will not be supporting leaving it here with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor LaFosse. First time around, Councilor O'Brien.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I think it would be a good idea to have the joint meeting with them on Zoom. I don't have a problem with that. We can bring them in 2 weeks, have a conversation with them. We can ask them the questions we want to ask them. And at that time, if they still feel they don't have, or we still feel that we don't have the information we need to move forward, at that point in time, we could potentially talk to them about sending it back to them. So I just think bringing them in is more transparent. I think more people will be watching our meeting. So I don't have a problem bringing them in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor O'Brien. Second time around, Councilor Paz.
Thank you. I just would like to commend the last point made by Councilor O'Brien. Let's just put everything on the table. It will not hurt us to just have a joint meeting with the CPC. We can give the law department more time to do their due diligence to actually provide us legal advice. And let's just make sure the public knows that this city council is giving permanent affordable housing its day in the light. You know, we're going to give it its due process and fairly evaluate it, rather than try to use legal statutes that were not substantiated at any point in this process. Let's make sure the public knows, so then there's not, you know, any kind of spinning that happens. I'm sure a lot of counselors here are trying to do their due diligence, and respectfully, I appreciate that. But we shouldn't have to spin this around or abdicate our responsibility as a city council when a real CPC matters before us. So I hope other counselors take note and support the transparency being proposed here. Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes, Councilor LeBlanc is first time around.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I think we went through this before, and I'm sure the counselor from Neighbors Way was on the council prior. Many of these have been sent back to the CPC in the past. When they did their due diligence, the CPC committee, they did not have any appraisals that were from the city for the city. So they didn't have all the pertinent information to do their application. We heard it, we heard why. And so they should get it sent back. They're supposed to just, we're not supposed to make this a three-ring circus and have meetings to have meetings. We should send it back, have them have the proper appraisal, and they can submit the application with all the information like they were supposed to, and then we can go from there. So I will not be supporting this. I think we should send it back and not create this into a three-ring circus and have media campaigns and emails and the whole 9 yards for another couple of weeks. Send it back, let them have the proper appraisal, let them fill out the proper application and turn it in just like it's supposed to be. And then it'll come to us and we'll vote it up or vote it down. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Blank. First time around on my list is Councilor McLaughlin.
Thank you, President Brasco. Just going back to the comments made last week by the mayor, she said if this landed on her desk as is, she would be unable to sign it. we as a body cannot amend a CPC application. I think the best course of action is to send it back. I won't be supporting the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McLaughlin. Second time around, I have Councilor Vidal first.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wouldn't consider, just to quote our large councilor and state representative from Neighbors Lane, this to be an embarrassment for this body for us to send something back. And we're not just trying to do our due diligence, we are doing a due diligence. And if the executive body has already told us that she will not sign as is, then we already had this discussion a week ago. What are we trying to do here? It is very straightforward. Now, if there is a concern with folks here about transparency and so on, well, let it come to us the right way. As Councilor LeBlanc said, this has happened before. We have sent these things back to the CPC. This is not the first time. Perhaps it's the first time for many of you, even if you're laughing right now or not. But it's not the first time. So I will suggest that you guys, whoever voted last week, to continue, stick to your guns. Because like myself, most of you, a lot of you do support affordable housing. But we know if we send this back to the mayor, or we send this over to the mayor as is, it will never make it through. So taking a step back, as the councilor from Ward 8 stated last week, it's actually a good thing. I will not be supporting the motion. As we stated, let CPC do their work and bring us something good. And this is by any way, it's not killing the project. It's actually making the project a better project in front of our eyes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Vidal. Second time around, Councilor Mackin, you're next on my list.
Thank you. So it's not my understanding that there have been any CPC applications previously sent back. And if counselors who remember applications that were returned, I would be very interested for them to detail what cases those were. Additionally, I did spend some time looking at older CPC applications, and unfortunately, the city of Waltham has never approved an affordable housing project such as this before. So we don't have a model of what a good CPC application looks like. So I definitely hear that we want to make sure we're doing the due diligence on the committee, on the CPC committee, and making sure things are all squared away. That said, this council has approved applications in the past for housing projects that were submitted through other bodies, not to create affordable housing, but to do other work for affordable housing projects that did not provide purchase and sale agreements, that did not provide proof of ownership, that did not provide any deeds. And you can go back and look, and they have exactly the same presentation as the application that is now before us. I also look back at those CPC applications, and in the time since Waltham created or accepted the Community Preservation Committee, we have approved the overwhelming majority of applications that were sent before the Community Preservation Committee and then to the council. And the only two that were ever denied were from Watch CDC and Metro West Community Development. So it looks like this city does not take these applications seriously. And it's exactly that issue that I'm trying to avoid here tonight by making sure that we're acting within the law, that we're giving all of the parties a chance to be heard, and that we're not sending something back to the CPC where it could die the slow death of 1,000 cuts. I would far rather, if the mayor can't sign this, then let her wear that albatross. Don't put it on our own necks for her sake. And if we're going to send it back to the CPC, we have no control over what happens at that point, and we cannot do anything to move the application forward or backward. We can't touch it. And that is the right way to do it on the first pass, but the authority of the legislative body is simply to approve or deny an application. And I think we should be doing that, and I think the easiest way to get there is to have a joint meeting. The last thing I'll say is that these kinds of joint meetings are not entirely unprecedented. One of the recent times that the city council had a contentious real estate matter before us, we did in fact hold a joint meeting with the school committee, including the mayor and legal counsel. So I see no reason that we cannot do the exact same thing with this affordable housing application. And I hope I will have the support of enough counselors to move forward with that plan of action. Thank you very much.
Point of information, Mr.
Thank you,
President.
Vice
Point of
President McGinley.
information,
Vice
Mr.
President McGinley.
President. You hear me?
Yes, Vice President McGinley, you have the floor.
I have a point of information. All of this discussion is obfuscating the actual matter. The matter before us is very clear in the application of the CPC itself, as it was approved by the City Council 17 or 18 years ago, when the City of Waltham allowed the CPC and was accepted into the program. The application itself is very clear. It's not confusing. In that application, the applicant is required to give an as-is appraisal. This applicant did not. It's directly in the application. Secondly, in the point of information, the applicant is to show evidence of owning or having ability to own or having ability to have the site in hand. It's in the application. The applicant did not show any ability of being able to do that. Consequently, this is an improper application before us and needs to be sent back to the body that reviewed it. That is my point of information.
Thank you, Vice President McGinley. Second time around, Councilor Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President. With regards to the comments made by the Councilor Lodge from Ash Street, I just want to point out that we as a body, we did not get any legal advice on whether we could override a mayor's veto. So we don't know if what he said would be true in regards to process. And I know I was on the city council as president. I made the motion and the idea to create the long-term debt committee, and then I was the first chair of it. And all the CPC matters were sent to it, and we had a lot of issues with regards to legalese. And what we did was, as with the advice from this same exact attorney that we had at the council meeting last week, was to not approve it, because there is no other provision. You either approve it or you don't approve it. So we didn't approve it, and we said verbally that whether we were in favor of the project or not, but it wasn't properly before us, so that we were rejecting it. And at the time, we got criticism from advocacy groups and so forth that would say, you're just trying to kill this good project. And no, we're trying to protect the taxpayers' dollars to make sure that there was a clawback, so that if they didn't do what they were supposed to do with the money, that we could get the money back. Long way around to say that we can do that, but let's not pretend it's anything else but rejecting the proposal before us now. And if I agreed with those that feel as though CPC didn't follow the process that they have to, I would say so. I would say, look, I'm in favor of this, and I plan on voting in favor of it once they follow the proper procedure. But I'm not hearing that from anyone on that side. And I think that would be because the CPC is going to be, they're looking for signals, right? If you can imagine, if I'm on the CPC committee, I'm thinking, what the hell's going on? What do they want from us? And if they heard from the majority of councilors that they were in favor of the project, if it was properly before us, then, you know, they could just start over again and do it quickly because they've already gone through it. So that's my comments. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Stanley. First time around, Councilor Darcy.
Thank you very much. 1 minute, please. Yeah, I think there's no provision in our rules, to my knowledge, to send an application back to the CPC. I believe that for CPC applications, the council either votes an application up or down. Hence, I support the Ward 7 and the Ward 9 council's request to invite the CPC in and the law department to answer the outstanding questions that the councilors have asked. And it also gives our law department time to answer the questions that we posed last week that we never got answered. How can we make decisions without proper legal advice concerning the questions that we asked last week? So I will be supporting the Ward 7 and Ward 9 councilor. Thank you.
Okay, further speakers on the motion?
President.
Sorry,
Mr. President, Councilor O'Cava.
Councilor Gaba.
Thank you for recognizing me. This is almost going back to what I was speaking of last week on, I mentioned that I had concerns on which way to vote, as in which way is going to get us answers quicker. I want to be on the record first as saying, I would love to be able to support this project, the proper project before us, for the proper price. That being said, which way gets us there the fastest, that gets us the answers the fastest to what is going on? Is kicking it back to the CPC going to get that done, or is it bringing them forward? It's kind of something I raised last week and why I was torn on which way to vote. It's still a little up in the air to me what we're really doing here. I think we're hearing good and kind of misleading arguments on both sides of what kind of the right action is to be here. And it is a little concerning. I do want to get answers. I think that's the most important thing in what we're having trouble just saying. So I'm going to listen to the one or two more comments here if there are, and I'm still a little torn which way the best is to vote here. But I do want to get these answers, because ultimately I do think we want to get this project going. If it's correct, right? If the price is right, and it's done correctly, because I do have major concerns that were brought up last week, of course, like we all do. But is kicking it back going to be the best way to solve it, or is it, you know, getting us all together to get the answers out there? That's what I really think it comes down to. I think it's pretty simple, and there's been a lot of talk all around that. So thank you.
Further speakers on the motion?
Mr. President, point of information.
Councilor Fossey.
How many votes are needed for the motion to pass?
8.
Thank you.
On the motion?
Mr. President, can
I have
I
my
just?
hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have my hand up. Just,
Councilor Durkee?
yeah, did I interrupt the,
Nope, your first time around. And
Clerk?
we'll have, the clerk speak to what he needs to.
so I just wanted to answer the Ward 5 councilor's concern. A lot of what we said was stated last week. I brought up the point that we have an improper application. There has been no debate on the merits of the project. You know, when I hear both sides, or I think the reference was into whether or not we send this back. But the real issue is, you know, if you don't have the purchase and sale, and you don't have the as-is appraisal, and I believe the phrase was, you know, proper care, control, custody of the property, then that invokes some other legal issues. So if the applicant, if Metro West CDC doesn't have care and control of the property with the purchase and sale agreement, all these other points or merits as to whether or not the project is good or bad are irrelevant. You've got to have this. You have to have these items. It's not, I do feel that using language like saying, oh, if you send it back to CPC, you're killing it. I've heard that from a number of people over a number of weeks. We don't have an application. I said last week, if I wanted to kill it, I would just vote for it. You heard what the mayor said. So honestly, if everyone wants to do this dance and have meetings and joint meetings and 45 people involved, go for it. I mean, let's just vote. Let's just vote yes. I will pledge myself tonight to vote yes. But doing that kills the projects. You heard what the mayor said. So we could play games, but I prefer not to. We don't have an application in front of us. If we voted yes in favor of the project, it would kill it. So I do believe, you know, there's the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. And there may or may not be a specific rule about sending it back to the CPC. But if the intent is to have us have a proper document in front of us, I think it should go there. Because if it turns out that they in fact did not fill out a proper application, then it is killed. But it's killed because of the applicant, not because of the council. So I would just ask that we send this back to the CPC, fill out what, you know, the checklist. It's a simple checklist. Fill it out and get it back to us. We haven't debated. I want the public to know we haven't debated the merits of this project. No one has said this shouldn't. I haven't heard anyone say it shouldn't be done. But we don't have an application. And like the mayor said for the third time, if we approved it right now, it dies. So if that's what you want, go ahead. Let's change the rules and do whatever we have to do and approve it. That kills it. So it seems to me we're kind of in a box. If we approve it, it dies. But you say you don't want to send it back to get a proper documentation. It's like this doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to vote against the motion. I want this to go back to the CPC. I want them to do this properly. And all these other questions that are asked about the law and such, we only answer them if this application comes back to us. That's the only way we answer it. Other than that, in the joint meeting, not necessary. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Dasty. Third time around, Council Mackin.
Thank you. Just really quickly on the motion, because it seems like there was a little bit of clarity lost in the Ward 6 councilors' comments. The motion is simply to have a meeting with the CPC so that we can discuss the application and perhaps work with them to accept any amendments to it. It's not an approval to send it to the mayor's desk where she will kill it. Just to be clear, this is not a motion to approve it. It's a motion to have a further discussion with the Community Preservation Committee and with our legal counsel so that the city's legal counsel can answer the legal questions for us. Thank you.
Mr. President?
Thank you, Councilor. Third time. Mr. Clerk, you were going to speak on the matter. Oh, third time around, Councilor Stan.
Thank you. I just want to be clear. I'm not that keen at all about having a joint meeting. I want to hear the legal answers to our questions. I don't even know if we can have a joint meeting. It's not in the council rule book like other boards. So, and quite frankly, nothing came of the joint council school committee meeting. It was a complete waste of time. And I don't see getting, such a large body together that what's going to be accomplished. The question is where does this belong? And if folks don't want to approve it, I want to ask the clerk, how will this be recorded on the council docket? As far as I know, there's only two possibilities, or three. It's tabled, it's approved, it's rejected. Am I correct?
Councilor Stanley, the motion, well, there's the motion on the floor by Councilor Mackin for that joint meeting. But the actual matter coming out of the committee of the whole is the Vice President McMenamin moves the action of the committee be the action of council with regards to sending a letter to the CPC for revision or review of the Affordable Housing Armory project.
Okay, so on that, so the matter would still be on our docket then? Would it still be on our docket, or would it be removed from the docket?
It would be removed from the docket.
So then therefore my question to the clerk is how is it, if it's recorded that it's not approved, right?
Well, there's a recommendation coming out of committee. The motion from Councilor Mackin, if it succeeds, my interpretation of that is that would supersede the recommendation coming out of the committee of the whole, because it would render the committee of the whole recommendation moot at that point, because the council's going in a different direction here.
Right, but I'm getting to the point of if her motion does not succeed and Councilor McMenamin's motion as chair of the committee of the whole succeeds, how are you recording this on the council docket? Because as far as I understand, and in all my time, there's only 3 ways to do it. It's either tabled, it's approved, or it's disapproved.
Is this on the motion?
I'm sorry, Councilor Stanley, Councilor LeBlanc on a point of information.
Point of information, is this on the motion, or can we do that after this motion?
It's a simple question.
Well, Councilor,
I
I understand where the council from Neighbors Lane is going. You know, obviously you want to know, once this is removed from the docket, what the vote of the council will be recorded as, correct? We either approved, objected to it, but the matter is not before us.
Right.
And I understand that, Councilor. So there'll be obviously in the minutes of the meeting discussion with regards to the motion that's on the table, the motion that is before us right now by Councilor Mackin. That vote will be taken by a call of the roll, and then subsequently a vote to send a letter back to the CPC to review and revise the application for the CPC for the Armory will be sent back to them, and that will be taken by a call of the roll. So I would suggest if you don't want to see it go back to the CPC, you would vote against the committee recommendation to send it back. Right now, Councilor Mackin's motion is on the floor, and I believe the clerk was going to speak prior to the third round of speakers.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to make sure that I had the motion correctly. My understanding is that it's a motion for a joint meeting with the CPC, that the CPC would be invited, the law department would be invited, the mayor would be invited. I did not hear that if there has been a date set for that meeting, if it's for the next full council meeting on February 22nd. I don't know if that was indicated. So I just wanted to get clarification on that. And I think there was some indication for the law department to answer questions. And I don't know if the precise questions are going to be listed at this point in that motion. I didn't get that if there were precise questions to go along with the motion.
Okay.
So I guess I'm asking for clarification from the maker of the motion to make sure that I have everything for the
Councilor
record.
Mackin, can you address that?
So I did not specify a date for the meeting, but I would be happy to add that to my notepad here to invite everyone for the next full council meeting on February 22nd. And then the counselor from Ward 9 had 2 legal questions. I would be happy to add those to my motion if procedural rules allow me to do that at this time. We could, is it possible to include in the request that the law department answer in writing the questions that were raised at the previous meeting? Mr. Clerk.
I can put that in. Law department answer the questions
I can add
that
it as well.
raised at the previous meeting.
Yes.
All right.
Should I reiterate the request for everyone at this time? Would that be helpful?
If you could, Council Mackin, because I think time has passed where people might want to know exactly what they're voting on.
Absolutely. So my motion is
Point
to
of
invite
order.
to,
Point of order, point of order. Would
Councilor
Counselor-
Vice President McMillan.
I have a point of order here. The counselor continues to interchange the words request and motion. She has made a motion. That is what we are voting on, a motion, not a request.
That is correct. We are voting on the motion. Yes.
okay, in that case, I can state it as a motion. The motion is for the council to hold on February 2nd, a joint meeting with the mayor, the city's legal counsel, the Community Preservation Committee, and proponents of the petition.
Another point of order. Please review what you just said. February 2nd has passed.
22nd, February 22nd, as recommended by the clerk.
Thank you, Council. Mr. Clerk, you have that? Everybody
I
else?
do. I do, Mr. President. I have everything.
You all have a sense of the motion and clarification.
Plenty of information. Mr.
Councilor
President,
Foss.
proponents of the application. Is there certain people that need to be here? Is it just the names that are on the application, or are we going to be, is it anybody that's in favor of this project, please?
Councilor Fossey, the way that the motion is, as the clerk has read it, is the people that the council from Ward 7 has just stated.
Correct, but the last part of it was, and proponents of the application.
Is that correct, Council Mackin? Through the chair to Council Mackin.
So my intention was that that would include Metro West Community Development and Watch CDC, but I can rewrite it to specify those two groups precisely.
Thank you.
You've all heard a sense of the motion.
Mr. President?
Councilor Blank.
Thank you. Last couple of quick comments. We're hearing a motion on having a joint meeting, and as you heard the council from Neighbors Way say that, the last one was a circus. And we're going to be asking all kinds of questions, legal questions. None of us are lawyers, on the legalities of an application, wasting a whole bunch of time on it. And we're going to ask all kinds of questions about the application that is improper and why it is. And we don't even need to do that. All we need to do is send it back, have them have the proper paperwork and procedures, take care of the application and send it back. And the majority of these questions are going to go away. We don't have to waste hours of time on an application that if it comes in proper, then we can deal with it. It's not killing it. It's not anything. It's send it back, have them get it right with all the right information. They didn't even have an appraisal from the city. It makes no sense for us to get involved, jump in the middle of this, or even vote on it when they didn't even have the proper appraisal from the city. So thank you very much. I won't be supporting this, and I hope it goes back and they straighten it out and send it back to us. We don't waste any further time on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. On the motion, third time around, Councilor Paz.
Yeah, I just wanted to end on a different note. I respectfully disagree with Councilor LeBlanc. I think if you're really passionate about affordable housing, you wouldn't just relinquish your ability to ask good questions about this. It's not a waste of time. It is absolutely not a waste of time. I just want to reiterate that to everyone. It's important that we just get this thing right. I don't think anyone here is trying to kill the project, but I think relinquishing our ability to actually ask questions and amend this potential situation is the first step to killing the project. So I respectfully hope people support the motion. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Paz. Okay. On the motion,
Please call the roll.
roll call. It's required.
George A. Darcy III,
Yes.
Karen Dunn,
No.
Sean T. Durkee,
No.
Kathy Ann Harris,
No.
Joseph P. LaCava. Anthony LaFosse. Anthony LaFosse.
No.
Randall J. LeBlanc.
No.
Christine A. Mackin.
Yes.
John J. McLaughlin.
No.
Kathleen B. McMenamin.
No.
Patrick J. O'Brien.
Yes.
Jonathan Paz.
Yes.
Thomas M. Stanley.
Yes.
Carlos A. Vidal.
No.
2, 3, 4, 5 in favor. 8 opposed.
The motion does not carry. So the main motion is before us, the action of the committee. The action of the committee,
Mr. President,
Councilor Paz. Vice
move to table the matter.
I'm sorry?
Move to table the matter.
On the motion to table, the motion to table is non-debatable.
Point of order, Mr. President.
Motion to table is non-debatable.
Point of order, Mr. President.
Okay, point of order.
How many votes does it take to table the matter?
8.
I will not be supporting that. Thank you.
On the motion to table, non-debatable, clerk call the roll.
George A. Darcy III.
Yes.
Karen Dunn.
No.
Sean T. Durkee.
No.
Kathy Ann Harris.
No.
Joseph P. LaCava.
No.
Anthony LaFosse.
No.
Randall J. LeBlanc.
No.
Christine A. Mackin.
Yes.
John J. McLaughlin.
No.
Kathleen B. McMenamin.
No.
Patrick J. O'Brien.
Yes.
Jonathan Paz.
Yes.
Thomas M. Stanley.
No.
Carlos A. Vidal.
No.
4 in favor. 10 opposed.
Motion to table does not carry. The action of the committee is the action before us. Again, Vice President McMenamin moves the action of the committee, be the action of the council. Councilor Vidal can move to amend the committee report by making it an order. The committee of the whole recommends an order be returned to the CPC for revision or review. Clerk, call the roll.
George A. Darcy III.
No.
Karen Dunn.
Yes.
Sean T. Durkee.
Yes.
Kathy Ann Harris.
Yes.
Joseph P. LaCava.
Yes.
Anthony LaFosse.
Yes.
Randall J. LeBlanc.
Yes.
Christine A. Mackin.
No.
John J. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Kathleen B. McMenamin.
Yes.
Patrick J. O'Brien.
No.
Jonathan Paz.
No.
Thomas M. Stanley.
No.
Carlos A. Vidal.
Yes.
9 in favor.
By your action,
5 opposed.
you have approved the committee recommendation. Clerk, will continue with the ordinance and rules.
The Ordinances and Rules Committee recommends the zoning amendment for medical marijuana be approved for a first reading.
Council McLaughlin moves the action committee, be the action of the council. Roll call.
George A. Darcy III.
Yes.
Karen Dunn.
Yes.
Sean T. Durkee.
Yes.
Kathy Ann Harris.
Yes.
Joseph P. LaCava.
Yes.
Anthony LaFosse.
Yes.
Randall J. LeBlanc.
Yes.
Christine A. Mackin.
Yes.
John J. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Kathleen B. McMenamin.
Yes.
Patrick J. O'Brien.
Yes.
Jonathan Paz.
Yes.
Thomas M. Stanley.
Yes.
Carlos A. Vidal.
Yes.
14 in favor.
By your action, you
None
approve the first
opposed.
reading. Council McLaughlin.
Aye. I'd like to send this back to Ordinance and Rules, Mr.
Motion
President.
is to recommit. On the motion to recommit, all in favor say aye.
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 Those are object. To be recommitted to the Ordinance and Rules Committee. Clerk, continue on number 2.
Ordinances and Rules Committee recommends the time extension for special permit order number 33403 for BP Third Avenue LLC be approved.
Council McLaughlin moves the action committee. The action of council. Welcome.
George A. Darcy III.
Yes.
Karen Dunn.
Yes.
Sean T. Durkee.
Yes.
Kathy Ann Harris.
Yes.
Joseph P. LaCava.
Yes.
Anthony LaFosse.
Yes.
Randall J. LeBlanc.
Yes.
Christine A. Mackin.
Yes.
John J. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Kathleen B. McMiniman.
Yes.
Patrick J. O'Brien.
Yes.
Jonathan Paz.
Yes.
Thomas M. Stanley.
Yes.
Carlos A. Vidal.
Yes.
14 in favor, none opposed.
By your action, you approve the extension of time. Unfinished business and other businesses before us now.
2021 election calendar.
Vice President McMillan moves to act on this matter without committee reference. On the motion to act on this matter without committee reference, all in favor say aye.
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 Oppose or object? There being none, Council McMillan, Vice President McMillan makes a motion for approval of the 2021 election calendar. On the motion for approval, clerk call the roll.
George A. Darcy III.
Yes.
Karen Dunn.
Yes.
Sean T. Durkee.
Yes.
Kathy Ann Harris.
Yes.
Joseph P. LaCava.
Yes.
Anthony LaFosse.
Yes.
Randall J. LeBlanc.
Yes.
Christine A. Mackin.
Yes.
John J. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Kathleen B. McMiniman.
I'm sorry, yes.
Patrick J. O'Brien.
Yes.
Jonathan Paz.
Yes.
Thomas M. Stanley.
Yes.
Carlos A. Vidal.
Yes.
14 in favor, none opposed.
Clerk, continue with
We-
extension of time.
There's a request for a time extension for Costco Wholesale Corporation at 71 Second Avenue.
Council McLaughlin makes a motion to act on this matter without committee reference. On the motion to act on the matter without committee reference, all in favor say aye.
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 Oppose or object? There being none, this is time extension for Costco, 71 Second Avenue.
President,
Council McLaughlin,
please let the record reflect I'm recusing myself.
let the record reflect that Councilor LaCava recuses himself
And
with
LeBlanc.
regards to this matter.
And Council LeBlanc, Mr. President.
Councilor LeBlanc, let the record reflect that Councilor LeBlanc recuses himself with regards to this matter. Clerk call the roll.
Thank you.
The motion is for approval of the extension of time. Clerk call the roll.
George A. Darcy III.
Yes.
Karen Dunn.
Yes.
Sean T. Durkee.
Yes.
Kathy Ann Harris.
Yes.
Joseph P. LaCava is recused. Anthony LaFosse.
Yes.
Randall J. LeBlanc is recused. Christine A. Mackin.
Yes.
John J. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Kathleen B. McMiniman.
Yes.
Patrick J. O'Brien.
Yes.
Jonathan Paz.
Yes.
Thomas M. Stanley.
Yes.
Carlos A. Vidal.
Yes.
12 in favor, none opposed.
By your action, you have approved of the extension of time.
Next item is a special permit modification for 275 Wyman LLC at 225 Wyman Street.
Refer to the Ordinance and Rules Committee.
And the next item, Mr. President, was taken up at the beginning of the meeting at the public hearing.
Okay, we have come to the end of the docket for the evening of the City Council meeting of February 8th, 2021. Wish of the committee.
Move to adjourn.
Council Paz makes a motion to adjourn. On the motion to adjourn, all in favor, say aye.
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 Oppose or object? There being none, the Waltham City Council stand in adjournment at 8:39 p.m. Good night, folks.
Thank you.